Hi everyone! Welcome to the PVS Studio channel. Today, we're going to talk about how to make fewer mistakes while writing code. We're not going to talk about errors tied to specific development language, so don't be afraid of examples. We often check open source projects and give various recommendations on our blog how to write great code and make fewer mistakes. Here we've gathered several tips on that, so buckle up and let's go. Let's start with an example. If you want to find a mistake yourself, press pause. 3, 2, 1. The problem here lies in the wrong index for A. The developer decided to optimize the code and manually unroll a loop. Oh yes, this is a real code fragment that we once encountered during the MySQL project check. We should mention that this bug was fixed. You can find the link to the ticket in the description. In fact, I don't think it could have helped improve performance. After all, modern compilers are intelligent and perfectly capable of loop unrolling. Why am I talking about this? Well, taking over the compiler's work isn't worth it. However, there's an exception here. If a profiler stumbles upon code whose execution takes too long, you can optimize it manually. But always remember that premature optimization is the root of all evil. Let's start with an example. Pay attention to the condition in the if block. Do you see something wrong? At first, everything looks neat. We assign a value to the ID variable and then check for -1. Wait, but there's completely different order. Yes, first we compare the return value of del to -1, and then we assign the result of the comparison to the variable. Everything here doesn't work as expected. By the way, it was a snippet from KDE4. Don't always rely on your knowledge. Write as simply as possible so that situations like this don't happen at all. Keep it simple, stupid. And don't forget, always code as if the guy who ends up maintaining your code will be a violent psychopath who knows where you live. This time, an error out in the open. Look. Apparently, here the developer decided to skip the good old Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V. However, this did not save them from mistakes. The problem here is highly noticeable and catches your eye, if of course they show this code right in your face. Actually, we found this code in our usual open source project check when we analyzed React OS code. To our surprise, this piece, unnoticed, ended up in a local master branch. Now let's format this condition block a little. Do you agree it has clearly become noticeable? Don't forget to align similar code. It helps to notice such places. In fact, it's crucial to keep code well formatted and not cramped. We all love refactoring, right? However, sometimes we edit old code or add checks that must have been missing. A wonderful code fragment from CoreFX, the .NET Core library. Everything is great if you don't look closely, and in fact, it will most likely always work, until one day you pass the good old null to the method. Here comes the fun. We won't leave to see checking for null, because first we check this condition. Here we'll get system null reference exception and go up to the stack. So what's all of this about? Place incoming value checks in the beginning of functions, and if you proceed to add additional checks, always pay attention to the order. This does not look so common, but we see such fragments constantly. In fact, we could reuse this first code fragment since the problem that we will discuss further is universal. Every developer, regardless of experience, faces this from time to time. Ready? See something suspicious? And now? Yes, we have a typo here. If only you knew how often we see them during our project check. Moreover, there's an important pattern. We often find typos in the end of repeating call blocks. We have an article about this. In general, be twice as careful when checking the similar copy-paste fragments, and it's better to use an assisting tool. By the way, you can get a free month trial of our PVS Studio by using the YouTube promo code. Download the analyzer and check your project for such typos. The link is in the description. We have discussed some tips on how to lessen various mistakes and typos in your code. Of course, this is not an exhaustive list of problems, so there will be more videos on this topic. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like the video. That's all, folks. Have a clean code.